Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. It's been a few weeks. I took a little break, but I'm back now. I want to talk about something that my last guest recommended for business women entrepreneur about burnout. You know, I like to talk about burnout. So let's listen to what he says, and then I will talk about it a little bit more.
The other part of burnout is, there are things that you do that give you energy, right? There are things that you love to do that give you energy. That you just feel like you do this and you can just keep going and keep going, keep going because you love it. But then and that's when you started the business, you probably did a lot of things that gave you energy. Then as a business grew and became more successful, and then all of a sudden it's like, now you have to do invoices and you have to jump into QuickBooks and you have to do all this stuff that you hate doing. Now that takes the energy, that sucks your energy away from you. And that can create burnout as well when you're outside of your zone of genius and you're doing all this stuff, sucks that energy away. So you want to do more stuff that keeps you in the high energy zone and less stuff that sucks your energy away.
There's two things he mentioned that really wanted to talk about. The first one was to know to delegate, and the second one is your zone of genius. I really like that term. So I will start with that. So I first heard that term in a book I read. I really like that term, zone of genius, because we all have it. And I think then when we hit it, we don't know how to manage it. And for people who don't know what the zone of genius is when you identify the thing you're good at. The first time I heard about that term, the zone of genius, was in the book I read from Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. Really like that book and I recommend it. And it referred to the activities you are uniquely suited to do and that will bring you the most joy, the most energy, and very high productivity, the thing that you really, really like to do. And in this intersection of your natural talent, passion, and strength, often it results in a very natural flow and time just disappear because you love what you're doing. So I discovered my my zone of genius last year by I don't know if it's coincidence because I don't believe in coincidence anymore. I think everything happens for a reason. Everything happened at the right time, the right moment to you for a particular reason. I don't think if I would have discovered sound healing earlier, I would have been appealed to it because I actually had a sound bath a few years ago. And I didn't think much more of it because I was in corporate, I was working corporate. I really wanted to go very high in the company. I went back to school for it. Yeah, they hired me. I had only a bachelor degrees. And I was like, okay, I want to go very high in the company. So I'm going to go back to school for my master, burn myself out, doing a master as a full-time mother, wife, full-time job, and still working on a master full-time on the side. And after like 2 semesters, I got sick. But that's for another story. So during that time, I had a sound bath. And the only thing that went to my mind was, oh, this is actually a nice job. That's what I thought. I didn't think that the sound bath really did something to me. I thought it was a bit weird. I didn't know what this lady was doing exactly. But I was like, oh, yeah, this is like, it's a very nice job to do because she was setting her own hours and it didn't look like a very stressful job. And we were in a women retreat. So I was like, oh, nice. We're working in a women retreat. But didn't think much more of that. Press fast forward 4 years later, pandemic, getting laid off, adopting a baby. So I stay home taking care of the baby. And then started the podcast with a friend. Then the friend left. I kept the podcast on my own, inviting all those nice guests that you've been listening for a while. And then I talked to that guest named Jane. I will never forget her name. And she was a sound healer. I mean, she's a sound healer. And I hope you listened to that episode. It was a really good one. And we talked about sound bath. And I was like, okay, that sounds familiar. And I think that was something I would might like to do because I was looking for myself at that time I wanted, of course, to go back to work, but I knew I didn't want to go back to corporate. That was for sure. I was burnout. I'm like, I'm not going back to corporate. That's for sure. And I was just wondering, what can I do to actually help people? I wanted to help people because I knew that meditating was really important. It's really important for your life. I think it's one of the most important thing you can do for yourself to change your life, to meditate, but it's really hard. It's really hard to meditate. It's not like, you're born and they teach you right away how to meditate as a child. I think there's certain culture where they do, but not where I was born and not where I live right now. This is not part of our culture. So that's something I actually talk about with my daughter. I already told her she needs to meditate very often. She doesn't do it, of course, every day because she's only 13. But that's something I really want to her to get used to. And meditation is not cannot only be you sitting in a yoga pose with your fingers touching and singing, chanting. Okay, it could be anything. It could be walking outside in the forest or just walking around in the street with listening to no music, to no podcast, nothing, just silently in your own thought. One of my guests was saying how to meditate, just do nothing. I don't know if you heard that about that. See if you heard that podcast. That was really funny. I was like, really nothing? He said nothing. You just don't do anything. You just sit here and you don't do anything. You do nothing. And that's meditating. So I also do Bikram yoga, which is a meditation where you're awake and you can do that for 90 minutes, 60 minutes. It's kind of hard, but you're such in pain when you do that yoga, that hot yoga, that you don't think about anything. And that's a real meditation because you don't think about your bills to pay or what you have to do after because you're really in the moment. And I think meditating is really being in the moment. And that's something that my daughter is really interested in. So when she's of age, I will bring her with me. So to go back to what my guest was saying about the zone of genius, I finally find my zone of genius when I find sound healing. For years, I was wondering, what am I good at? What is my skill? What is my gift? Because we all have a gift. And sometimes it takes a while. It took me a long time. And I didn't know what my gift was. I thought my gift was being good at customer service when I used to work for an airline because that was my dream job as a teenager. My whole life was I'm gonna work for an airline because I like to travel also. And I did. I did realize that dream. I live in a country where I had to speak English because I really like to speak English. I live in a country where I had to speak English every day. And I work for an airline. And it was the greatest job ever at the time. It was my dream job. And I got my dream job for a while. Then, of course, never content, I had to move on to something else. And then for all these years, I didn't know what to do. I moved to the States. I was like, okay, I cannot work for an airlines here. It's not really possible. Money wise, doesn't really pay much here compared to Europe. And I was like, okay, I need to go back to school, things like that, work corporate. And I live in the Silicon Valley, so a lot of big companies. And I was like, this is my new dream. I will go up the ladders and finally have that big job in those big companies. But still, something was missing. Something was missing. And although I was really good at working within a team when I was working in an airline, with time, I noticed with time and with age, I didn't want to work with a lot of people. I think I'm better working on my own. Like the podcast. I think it's better when I do the podcast on my own. And I like to be my own boss. I like to make my own decision. And then doing sound healing was so natural, was so liberating when I finally did the training, and it went very fast from the day I made a decision. Okay, I'm going to be a sound healer. Look for a robust training, and I went to the Harvard School of Sound Healing, the Sound Healing Academy, based in Los Angeles, and I did the training for 3 months, And I wasn't even done with the training. I found a job, everything aligned. And so far, it's still aligning because I'm finally in the right path. That path brought me to Reiki. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you it right now. I didn't believe in Reiki at the beginning. I didn't know what it was first. I remember we had a guest. I remember talking about Reiki with my friend at the beginning of our podcast. We had a guest. She talked about Reiki, but I didn't really know what it was. And then during my training at the Sun Healing Academy, they were all so a lot of people, sound healers, are yoga teacher also, and most of them also do Reiki, and a lot of the mentors they do Reiki. And one thing that attracted me to Reiki, they were saying, if you do sound bath infused with Reiki, it completely changed the atmosphere. It changed the sound bath. It's really different, and people can feel it. So I was like, okay, let's try this. But thinking only I'm just gonna do that for the sound bath, not on people. Then I do the training, and I started doing it on people to train myself. And when I saw what it was doing to people, I was like, okay, this is something you need to do. I don't know if some of you are following me on Instagram. If you don't, please do. My Instagram is harmonious echoes. Um, the last client I had, she gave me a very personal message. So while we were doing the Reiki session on her, she woke up and she told me, "I have a message for you." She had a message for me from the angels. I'm not going to share it here now. Maybe later, maybe in another podcast, I will share it. But I feel like it's really personal right now. But the thing she told me, so I talk about it on the clip in my Instagram. So Reiki you is a different hand placement that you do. So when I placed my hand on her face, she could feel that it wasn't my hand anymore. It was the hand of God. She said that it wasn't your hand anymore. If it felt like it was the hand of God, God knew I needed healing and he was healing me. And this is true because Reiki, the practitioner is not doing anything. The practitioner is just a vessel for the healing, and all the relaxation and all the thing you're gonna get is coming from the heaven. You're not doing anything. You're not healing the person. The person is healing him or herself, and you're just the vessel where the energy is coming through for the person to receive it. So she told me that when I put my hand on her belly, she could really feel it was really warm. The energy was going there, and then I moved to shoulders and wrist. And she woke up and she looked at me weird. And I asked her, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I tickle you? Is there something wrong?" And she looked at me. She said, "I thought your hands were still on my belly. I could still feel the weight of your hands and the warmth of your hand on my belly. But I felt that you were on my shoulders and wrist. So I was wondering who else is in the room." I don't know. It was really funny. So we laughed, and then I finished the session. And I was finished with a little sound healing, which is really nice. And then she told me, she woke up and she said, "I have a message for you." And she gave me my message. So it's really magical. I really love it. So to go back to the zone of genius, I finally found my zone of genius. And if you find yours, I'm very happy for you. If you have not found your zone of genius yet, it will come to you. It will come to you. If you're looking for it, it will come to you for sure. One little issue that can happen when you find your zone of genius, you want to do everything because you think you're good at everything. And that's the mistake I did at the beginning. I wanted to do my own website. I wanted to do my own social media. I wanted to write my own newsletter. I wanted to do everything. And I was getting again burnout with my own dream. And I was like, I'm not going to get burnout with my own dream. This is what I love to do. And I want to help people. So I cannot be burnout. So when you get to your zone of genius and you know that you're good at something, just delegate. Just pay people to do what they are good at and what they study for, and what, like my website. I'm not gonna do my own website. I'm gonna hire somebody to do my website because that's what their job is. And I'm not gonna spend 3 months watching, I don't know how many YouTube videos on how to do this, how to do that, how to connect everything. This is not my job. I'm not a web designer. So just try to hire people. You can find people, who won't ask you for a lot of money to do things like that. It could be a student, it could be somebody on Upwork. Um, I'm not doing a free commercial for them, but there's a lot of contractor there that you can find for very cheap money and can do stuff for you over there. So like an assistant. So when you find your zone of genius, don't burn yourself out. That's my message. Don't burn yourself out. Delegate. Try to find help. I'm sure around you there's a lot of people who can help, and just concentrate on what you do the best. And this way you can have a lot of productivity for something you love, and just give to your community, because everything we do is for our community. We all work with each other to help each other and to have a better world. So don't burn yourself out again. Find your zone of genius and delegate. And for the people, for the women who don't know where to go, what to do, where to start, I can help you. I can help you get into a zone where you're going to be it's going to be less crazy, less hectic. You can relax at least for 1 or 2 hours in the week or in the day. And I have this program that I put together that I would have loved to have a few years ago if somebody would have told me, Veronica, I can help you with that. And it's a mix of Reiki, sound healing, journaling, meditation, and I put that everything together for you. You can access the first module for free, so I will put the link in the description. Just have a look and tell me what you think. And if it's something that you think that will work for you and you feel attracted to it, just make an appointment and we can talk. And that's something I can do also long distance. We can do Zoom session, we can do in-person session. Just let me know where you're located and we'll do that. So until the next episode, I think next episode will be another guest. I wish you a very, very good day or night. I don't know what time you're listening to the podcast. And until then, take care of yourself.